BlizzPro's coverage of BlizzCon 2014, brought to you in part by Steel Series. Winning is everything. Hey guys, we are here with the infamous Dustin Browder, director of both Heroes of the Storm and StarCraft 2. Excited to be here. How's your con?
It's been very cool. Lots of fun stuff we're showing here today. Amazing time being in the opening ceremony. We did our panel today on Heroes of the Storm, showed off lots of exciting stuff. We had a power outage in the middle of the panel.
Right.
It was absolutely fantastic.
Well, that was the middle of your panel.
It was the middle of our panel. The crowd was really cool. It was a really cool crowd. They sort of helped us through it. We got to questions really quickly as a result. Then we had to backtrack and show the rest of the PowerPoint like at light speed to get through. It was really fun.
Well, easier really for you than the tournament. So.
It was really fun. It was really fun. Yeah, right, exactly.
So, all these new Heroes of the Storm things that we've seen. First, we want to talk about ranked play. How is this new ranking system going to work?
Well, we've got a bunch of different stuff that we're doing. We've got a couple different leagues that we're going to put you in. We've got a hero league if you want to just play however. Like I want to play solo, I want to play with a team of 5 friends, 4, 3, 2, whatever you want to do, we'll put you in hero league. And you'll have your own rating and your own score in hero league based on how you've been playing, whatever you're doing. And we'll try to match you. So if you're a team of 2, we'll try to match you with another team of 2. Right. If the matchmaking takes too long, we might break that rule. It's like, wow, we're waiting for 10 minutes. But with a real population, there shouldn't be a concern. We also have a team league, and this is the serious competitive scene for Heroes of the Storm. This is where you make a pre-made team with up to 9 different people. So that's 5 people in a team on any given night, with 4 alternates, depending on who's logging in tonight. So you've got this option to swap people in and out if somebody can show up tonight. So you're going to play with this pre-made group, and that single group is going to have a score. Right? So how well this group functions, and that's the serious mode. That's the mode that we take seriously. That's the mode that we really think. If you want to show how awesome you are at Heroes, that's where you're going to do it at. If you're, awesome solo, that's really cool. But these are the guys that are sort of top of the world. Then what we're going to do is we're going to divide up our entire population up to 50 levels. Right? So you're going to go from like Hearthstone, which is 25, but you're going to go from 50 to 1 down at the bottom. We may introduce, legendary or a grandmaster. We haven't figured out what the meta is down the road for just the top of the top, right, people. And you're going to progress through that by gaining and losing points. So Hearthstone does it with stars. We want a little more granularity in our system, so we're going to do it with the points. Stars is a little bit more hardcore, but I think it best matches our needs for what we're trying to accomplish. And so if you play a team that's much better than you, and you manage to beat them, that's worth a few more points. If you lose to a team that's much worse than you, you're going to lose a few more points, right? But hopefully our matchmaker will keep you pretty even in who you're facing most of the time.
So are you planning on any sort of like a banning of heroes during ranked play, similar to like a captain's mode or anything like that, any variations?
So what we're planning on right now is a draft mode, right, which allows you to choose your heroes relative to the enemy team. We'll do 1, 2, 2, 2, 1 between the other teams.
Snake.
Right, exactly. We're not planning on doing bans initially. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is we feel like we have 20-minute games. We're already going to add a significant amount of time to that for the picking of the game, right? Picking your heroes. That's going to be a significant add to the experience. That's going to take a 20-minute game to closer to a 30-minute game. So now we're spending almost half the time preparing for it, maybe 25. We haven't figured out the exact final numbers. We haven't really tested that per head. There might be, if we get to the point where you're spending a third of the game prepping for the game, we feel like that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to try it at first without bans to see how that feels. We may institute some solutions if we have problems. For example, we may decide that, for draft mode, Blizzard is going to ban these 2 new heroes because they're new. And we will allow them to be played in this mode once we feel that they're safe. That's an option that we could take down the road if we wanted to. At the same time, if we allow bans, right now we're saying you have to own 10 heroes to get in because each hero has to be unique inside our play space, right? So you need to own 10 heroes to get in there. If we add bans, say we added 3 bans, you have to own 13 heroes to play in that space now. So now we're making it harder for you to get into ranked mode, right? Which is less attractive as well. But we might need bans, right? So we're going to try it at first without and see what happens. And if we find out that this is not realistic, right? This is not probable, then we'll look to solve these problems, or if we can't solve these problems, we might say it's worth the cost, which is everything in game design. It's all trade-offs, right? It might be worth the cost to have bans. So it's our initial position is maybe we can get away without it. We're very open to that not being realistic, and we'll test it and see where it goes. And also, this doesn't really impact tournaments in a meaningful way, right? If tournaments want to run with bans or not, it's entirely up to them.
Yeah, absolutely. new heroes.
Yeah.
The meat and potatoes, right?
Yeah.
How are the Lost Vikings going to play? Look, we saw 3 controlled by 1 player. Is that going to be a lot of micromanagement?
It's a very challenging character to play. The Lost Vikings are not an easy-to-play brand new hero. They're more in the murky Abathur vein, where you've really got to learn to play these guys, and you really should know the game before you sit down to play them. So we're not going to be throwing the new users into playing the Lost Vikings. That's something we really want, our higher-end players to experience. That's one of the things we're doing with the heroes as well. Not all heroes are created for all people. We're really trying to create a broad range of heroes. So there's heroes that are very easy to use like Raynor, and there's heroes that are very difficult to use like Lost Vikings. And this allows us to get a lot of breadth of play across the play experience. Even if you're a really high-end player, right? So I'm sort of a mid-range player at this point. But at 11 o'clock at night after 1 beer, I might play Raynor, right? I need this to be a little easier right now, right? So even you'll see some range of play, even if you are a player who can master Murky, you might sometimes go with an easier to play hero for a session or two. But we want that breadth of experience, and we really want these heroes to be kind of insane. We really want to make you come in like, I don't know what these guys are going to do next. They don't seem to have any rules. And that's sort of our values. We hear that every now and then where somebody, will come new to the design team and they'll say, okay, so what are the rules for these heroes? Like, I'm really trying to figure out how to lock this down so I can make something you guys are going to like. And we're like, no. Nobody answer that question. We don't want any rules, right? We want these to be really fresh and really open, right, in terms of what you can do with them. I find Lost Vikings extremely challenging to play. Now, you can fall back on just hitting the 4 key, which selects all your Vikings at once, and just moving them as a pack. And we've designed them so they tend to space out a little bit naturally. Olaf is up close because he's a melee guy. Balog has got a medium range, he's a little further back. Eric the Swift's got the longest range, but he's a little bit further back. So if you kind of just A-move with everybody selected, you'll get a spread that's not a terrible spread. They will fight correctly in that formation. That's kind of where you want them.
Yeah.
But you're going to start to get AoE'd, right? You need to micro them individually. And of course, the really advanced strategies is, Balog and Olaf here, Eric is scouting up there, or we're sending Balog to, push bottom lane where Olaf and Eric are mid lane fighting heroes. Like, it can get pretty crazy, right? And so we've seen some of our better play. It's very much StarCraft. Totally. We don't have a lot of activated abilities, guys, as a result, right? It's really about managing their position on the battlefield, and that is plenty of strategy and plenty of challenge, even for some of our better players. At the same time, we do have talents in there. If you want to add a few more activated abilities, you can scale these guys to even be more difficult to play if you want to. And that's always been one of our goals. We want some heroes to be, Raynor, who doesn't even have really 4 powers. He's got, 3 powers, 2 powers to start with, and one of them you just kind of hit whenever you want, right? So he's super easy to play. And we want some heroes like playing the piano, where you're really going to work, and it's going to take you a long time, even for the best players, to master these guys. And that's our goal.
Absolutely. So how about Janna and Thrall? What are their roles on the battlefield? What are those two looking like?
Well, Janna is a classic mage, and we don't have a ton of mages in our game from sort of the brawler-style mage. Somebody who's got fairly difficult to manage cooldowns, a lot of mana tension, but ferocious burst. Right, if you can do it correctly. It's a very specific style of play that we really enjoy.
Glass cannon.
Yeah, glass cannon. We don't really, not a lot of escape, you know what I mean? Like, you really got to pick your moment. Nova has a little bit of this, but the cloak overshadows everything, and so it doesn't really feel like a mage in the classic sense, and we really saw an opportunity with Janna to create that archetype. So we're going to create Janna. She's an ice mage. We could go a lot of ways with her, but we feel like the ice mage would be the most interesting. So a lot of her spells have a lot of synergy with each other, slowing, rooting, bursting. She can be really, really fierce, but you got to watch it. Don't get caught out of position.
Right. You
don't have a strong escape mechanism, right? Watch your mana. If you get low, you're done.
Yeah.
Right? This is not somebody you can like, well, I can still fight out without mana. Like, be careful. You're running cold right now. You're almost out of gas, right? And so we feel like she fits that niche for us. It really gives us that play, but not nearly as hard as Vikings to play. Very playable. A lot of skill comes to her. You want to hit with multiple skill shots. She gets some synergy out of stacking her hits, right? Very powerful to do that, but not a super painful character to play compared to Vikings, who can be very challenging. And for Thrall is really another melee DPS for us, but he is all focused around his elemental abilities. He's a little unusual, but he's got Chain Lightning, which for a melee DPS wouldn't quite make sense. But here we're really going towards the theme. We're truly trying to make Thrall and Doomhammer and this sort of very aggressive shaman feel kind of correct, right? So here it's much less about, we had a very specific gameplay role we wanted to fill. It's a very specific character we wanted to bring to the universe. So we're trying to do everything we can to make him feel like Thrall, to make him feel like Doomhammer is core to who this guy is.
And of course, now today we find out there is a new Blizzard property.
Sure.
So there's new characters. So are we looking at how to bring in some Overwatch characters into Heroes of the Storm soon?
It's not happening soon, but it's definitely something we'll be looking at going forward. And it's, the rules of Heroes of the Storm is there are no rules, right? So I think down the road you can definitely expect us to visit that universe.
So we're looking to maybe roll out them first, Overwatch first, before they get pulled into.
That's been our general policy. We've spoken with a lot of teams around the studio, and our general feeling was they get to put their stuff out before we do.
Right.
That's totally fair.
That could be a little awkward.
It doesn't seem nice. It doesn't seem nice. And obviously, a team could come to us and say, no, we really want you to do this. But we've been very respectful and want to be respectful of the work that all these other teams are doing, and in many ways are powering, the game that we're creating. And so they get their stuff, they get some time with it, and then we get to come in after the fact and then find a way to make it work in our game. But certainly your Tracer would be amazing.
Well, and you're trying to base them on the characters in their games
as they've seen them. So if they're changing their character to, which is a very realistic possibility in any Blizzard game, right? We don't want to say, hey, we got Tracer. Oh yeah, we just play a different character. Right? That would feel good. So we're definitely going to wait a little bit before you see anything from Overwatch.
Okay, good to hear. New battlegrounds. Got Sky Temple and Tomb of the Spider Queen. What can you tell us about these two new ones?
So Sky Temple is one of our bigger maps, and it's actually big top to bottom with all of those temples in the middle. What you do on this map is these temples over time will activate, sometimes more than one at a time. I think even towards the end of the game, 3 temples can activate simultaneously. When a temple activates, what you want to do is run into that area and capture. And the minute you capture, it's going to start blasting the enemy base on your behalf. At the same time, Temple Guardians are going to spawn and try to drive you off. One of them has a kick ability that can push you out of the area. It's pretty easy to avoid. It's less easy to avoid when the enemy team shows up, and they're trying to engage you as well. If the enemy team moves in, the Temple goes neutral. You've got to be alone in there. You've got to own it. So zoning people out is everything in this moment. And the whole time you're zoning people out, the damage is happening. The minute somebody else comes in, we're neutral, nothing's happening at all. You got to drive them out. So you get these insane 3-way battles between you, the enemy team, and the map itself. It's chaos. And if you imagine now you've got multiple of these opens at once. Say there's 2 temples open right now. Strategy.
Yeah.
Who goes where? Who's already there? What do we want to do? Is anybody down? Is any of them down? Where are we going? And you really got to try to communicate with your team and figure out who's going to go where, what temples you're going to capture, and what's going to happen. This is almost the opposite in many ways of the Spider Queen, of Tomb of the Spider Queen. So in Sky Temple, you're almost never in lane. You're in lane briefly while you're running around grabbing these temples, and the minute you do it, like, oh, maybe I should get some mercenaries. Oh, the temples are back, right? And so you're often in the temples fighting it out there. And these battles can go on quite a while, because if it goes neutral in the middle, nothing's happening, right? We still got to wait for these to burn down. So it can really be about these objectives a lot of the time. You're almost never in lane. Tomb of the Spider Queen, you're almost always in lane. In Tomb of the Spider Queen, the map is very, very small, the opposite of Sky Temple. And it's very dark, and there's lots of just terrifying switchbacks, right? Where you can just go into a corner like, oh my god, there's 3 guys, right? Like, it's very scary, very dark, very gloomy, and very difficult to navigate in respect. You can get wherever you want to be very quickly, but you don't know who you're going to find when you get there. In Tomb of the Spider Queen, you're trying to kill the enemy minions. When the minions die, they drop gems. When you collect gems, you can take them to a central location and drop them off. When your team has dropped off enough gems, the Spider Queens are going to come each and every lane. They're going to spawn a bunch of spiders, and they're going to push the enemy towers. So now it's attack, defend, we're on the attack, you're on the defense, there's something going across every lane. So again, you're right back to the lane. So you almost never leave lane on this map. You're constantly trying to collect these gems. Now if I'm carrying gems to kill me, I'm going to drop all my gems. But the gems are still owned by my team. It's not like the doubloons. You cannot pick them up, but they will despawn pretty quickly. So you want to kill me and then stand over the pile of gems and dare someone to come after them. Pretty quickly they're going to despawn and you can go, right? And so you're trying to take away my ability to collect gems. You're trying to kill guys with gems and then guard their corpse, essentially, corpse camps, and until the despawn happens, and then go back to what you're doing. So you're always in lane, you're always trying to capture gems. Very small, very terrifying, very dark map. Very much the opposite between these 2 maps. And that's one of the things we like about the game, is we can go for these battlegrounds that are fundamentally different from one another, and we can release battlegrounds, hopefully fairly close to each other, that really give you very different styles of play. So, on Tomb of the Spider Queen, I don't know, but I'm guessing Falstad's flight ability, not as useful, right? Small map, easy to get around. There might be some surprise moves, you can get behind people and stuff like that, but not as powerful. as it would be on, say, Sky Temple, where the map is very big top to bottom, and you jumping from the top temple to the bottom temple could be a game-winning move. Talents on those two maps, again, could be very different from one another, and that's one of the things we love about Battlegrounds. It gives that option to create an environment where which hero you choose, what's comp you choose, what's talents you choose, will be fundamentally altered by the Battleground and make you think of your heroes in a very different way.
Absolutely. So other things. We've heard a lot of people complain at this point about once you hit level 15, they want more incentives. They want more once you hit that level. What's being done to help address that issue right now?
I'm not sure I understand exactly which issue you're talking about. We get a lot of feedback.
Sort of rewards. Post level 15, people feel like they're not getting a lot of rewards. Correct.
Oh yeah, we got more stuff coming, right? So obviously, we're going to do things with, ranked play, Hero League and Team League that require higher levels to unlock. We have planned to do portraits that we're going to give players for hitting specific milestones. I feel like that's a very solvable problem. That's an alpha problem.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll put more stuff in and we'll see how it feels. They're not wrong. It's legitimate feedback. Yeah. I can't argue it. I can't say, well, that's not true. There's a lot of stuff. There's no stuff. Right? So we'll add more stuff.
That's
right?
the stuff they want to hear.
I'm on board. I'm on board with more stuff.
Okay,
we'll add more stuff.
Stuff's good.
And we'll see what we can do. Obviously, at a certain point, we are hoping that players transition their interest from player level to hero level, because player level is going to run out, and it's not going to take that long. Like right now, it's about 100 hours to hit level 40. If you play with friends, it's a lot less, right? So, and we're cool with that. Like we want you to hit max hero level because that's going to open up a lot of modes, and we want you to have access to those modes. So we're okay with you hitting max level 40 pretty quickly. And then we want to transition you into the hero levels. Some of the hero level stuff I think that is very cool. I think the skin colors are awesome. When I play, I'm playing for those, right? I think the master skin is a very cool incentive to hit max level with the hero. I think the mount tints are less interesting. Like when I see the mount tints, I'm like, oh, why did I put this in? Like, this is not working for me. Like, I don't care about this level, right? So I think there's work we could potentially do there to spruce it up, but I think at some point you can hit level 40 regardless. And I think at that time we're hoping you transition into grinding out and figuring out how to get the best stuff you want for your favorite heroes. At the same time, at some point, I think you're going to get the heroes you want. And then I'm hoping we can transition you into being interested in ranked play modes, right? Where you're trying to figure out how to be the top of the ladder, how to power through that. World of Warcraft is very similar types of arcs. Like you start out, you just want to get to your mount, right? That's what I want, because that's going to unlock so much of movement for me. Okay, I'm out. Now I want max level. Okay, I'm max level. Am I done with the game? Honestly, for some people they are. Some people, they get to 90 and they go, I'm done, right? Obviously, that's not what we're hoping for. We're hoping you say, you know what, I want the best gear, or I want the rep that gives me access, or I want this special mount. So we're going to try to find ways to layer in more systems, because at some point, with any one of these systems, you'll be done-ish, right? And you're ready for something else. And so we're hoping that we can, right now, I am hoping that players will go to the hero level. I think that is compelling stuff, but we do need more that we need to add on after that. And the idea that, the player level doesn't do much after 15 is obviously true, right? No question.
Is there an estimate or a goal at this point about how many heroes that you want to have available when the game sort of officially launches? And on the flip side of that, is there such a thing as too many heroes?
I think that's a great question. We're not really worried about how many we have when we launch. I would launch today with the heroes that we have. I feel like I've got enough heroes to play when I'm playing. The variation is solid. There's a lot of good options. There's the few holes that I don't like. There's no Diablo support, right? So if you're looking to complete quests, it's like, I kind of want the double. Yeah, okay, dude, I would love to do Kane. Well, let me start on Kane. We'll be here the whole time talking about Kane. But yeah, so there's some holes like that I'd love to fill, but it's not necessary. So we'll go with the hero count we have. What I need to launch the game is I need the engineers to have had enough time to really test the server stability. I need a score screen. I'd like a score screen. That'd be really cool. We don't have that. People look at the game and they say, your alpha's amazing. I'm like, yeah, but we're not done. Like, we don't have a score screen. We're working on it, right? I'd love to get ranked play in. I'd love to get a profile. Love a profile. That'd be really cool. Some stats. That'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. So there's some basic stuff that we're working really hard to get in, that we want to get in. But I think once you see that stuff start to fill out, I think you'll see us getting pretty excited for launch. And if the hero count is 32, if the hero count is 35, I don't care. We'll go, right? Same thing with Battlegrounds. We got enough Battlegrounds to launch today. We're going to add more. If the Battlegrounds are at 7, great. If the Battlegrounds are still at 5, okay, we'll go, right? In terms of your second question, is there such a thing as too many heroes? That seems possible. I'm not sure. I think that's a very realistic question, and I think it's a question we're always going to be looking at and always asking ourselves. Have we hit a point where either we're repeating ourselves. That's the scariest one.
Right.
That's the one I'd be the most distressed at. Like we're sitting there and we're working on it here, like, well, that's just Thrall, or that's just Janna with a little bit of Kane in them. You know what I mean, or whatever. Or we're doing, the same heroes over and over again. And I think if we get to that point, I think that's when you see us really grind to a halt. In terms of the other concerns that could arise, is how easy it is to get into the game, how easy to understand what's going on. Those are also scary. But I don't know when those will happen. That's going to be much more fuzzy for me. Like, when do you reach that point where I don't understand what's going on anymore? It'll be different for everybody. It's a very difficult line to understand. But it seems real. Like, it seems like you get to a place where we all go, that's too much, right? I don't know when we crossed it, but maybe it was a month ago for you. It was 2 weeks for me. It was 6 months for me, right? But we finally get to a point, it's too much. So I think that's a very real possibility. And when we get to that point, we'll sort of figure it out. I'd love to figure out, is there a way, card games struggle with this as well. Like, at what point are there too many cards in the system? And then they do different things. Like Magic has this thing that kind of works and kind of doesn't, right? Where you roll the cards that are allowed in play, right? Mm-hmm. And that's really cool because there's new stuff. Unless you bought cards 2 years ago, you're like, wait, my cards are no good? Like, that feels terrible, right? So they make a choice there, and it's working for them, right? So is there something like that? I don't know. That doesn't sound great to me, right? But these are good questions. These are great questions.
Discussion I had with my teammate before we came into this, which was the idea of, like, if there's 200 heroes and they want to introduce a new one, so you have to test that hero in balance against 200 other heroes and every team variation. Like, you're descending into madness at that point.
And at what point do I come into the game and I go, I don't know. I don't know what's happening here, right? Like, I know we're building for a community that's also here, but you do want to make it available for new people to come in because those are new players for your community to play with, right?
If you open it up and you see this wall of heroes,
you're like, oh my God.
What?
Yeah, right? And so we can do stuff to when you get in there where you're only seeing a few, we can do that. But then when you get into the game and you're trying to learn it, and you're like, okay, I've played 10 games, and I've never seen the same hero twice. I mean, I'm the same guy, but you guys all keep changing on me, right? Like, that could be scary, right? So, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's definitely an exciting problem, and it's definitely one that I would welcome more feedback on the future as we go into the problem. It's pretty interesting.
As you keep adding heroes,
we'll see what happens. But we're not afraid to stop. Like, if we get to a point where we go, you know what, it's enough, then we'll go, that's enough. We'll focus on battlegrounds. Maybe we'll focus on, things like PvE mode, whatever we can think of. We'll focus on different things to keep the game fresh if we feel like we get to a place where that's enough, right?
Well, you're in the perfect place. You have all these properties and all these wonderful characters to constantly pull from.
Totally.
It's sort of a bottomless well almost.
It really is. We've not run out of ideas, and we always hear new ideas, right? And there's always something like, hey, you should do Kane, you should do Lost Vikings, that really push us creatively to try to create some heroes that are really unusual, that really sort of challenge the basic conceits of the genre, and that's always fun.
So with heroes, you've been able to create new hero types with heroes like Asmodan, Sergeant Hammer. Are you looking at something else coming that's fresh and new like that, just totally blows people away?
Well, the Siege heroes are sort of a new type, right, that we've been doing quite a bit of, that we definitely enjoy. We've also got heroes like Murky, who is technically a team fighter these days. He was a pusher for a while. We kind of went another way with him. They felt a lot more fun to us. And he's more of a team fighter, but he's a very weird team fighter who's constantly respawning and jumping back in the battle. I don't know if you've played him or not, but he's a disaster. He can't fight at all.
I'm terrible at heroes.
He's very hard. Well, the game is challenging.
So bad.
The game is very challenging. So don't feel bad. That's true. A lot of people say that. But Murky is a hero that he's not very good at fighting, but he can lay an egg anywhere on the battlefield, and when he dies, he can come back from that egg. So it's all about hiding that egg and respawning and coming back and wearing somebody down. I was in a game the other day with a friend of mine who was playing Stitches, and he ran into Murky. Murky was really doing a lot of damage up on top lane. I think it was Dragonshire. And so Stitches goes up there to put Murky down. And he goes up there, and Murky starts doing his little Murky dance, and he's doing his bubble, and he's dodging, he's healing himself, and he's not doing much to Stitches. And finally Stitches just corners him and just kills him. And I look up, and Stitches is at half health. He's been dancing around these minions so long, they've been shooting him. He's at half health. And I'm like, you just lost. He's coming right back. Here he comes. He does that to you again, you're dead. Like, you can't hold up there. You're losing to this, right? And that was just a very skilled Murky player, really using the map and the environment. So it is technically a team fighter, a little bit of an assassin, but in such a weird way that it's really unusual. And today we're showing Lost Vikings, right? Which we're classifying as a specialist because we don't know how to classify them, right? But you're controlling 3 guys at the same time. They don't have a lot of activated abilities on, but you could talent them to have a lot of activated abilities. And then they're running around the map like crazy. So for us, it's not even about roles. Like, we get into this run, like, okay, we've done, an assassin, you've done a warrior, you've done a siege, you've done a support. What's the next role? We're like, what's the next guy that doesn't fit a role, right? And we what's messed up is we got like a specialist category right now, which is it's a lot of siege and it's some, I don't know, right? Like we've had discussions, should Abathur be classified as support? Because he's almost support, right? Should Murky just be classified as assassin, right? And then Lost Vikings are the only specialists left. Like, I don't know what we do. So we're trying to come up with heroes that literally don't fit any archetype, that we would just have to shove into the I don't know category. And that will keep the game fresh. And that's a big value for us, is making sure that there aren't any clear, super hardcore defined rules that end up limiting us. Because it's very easy when you're on a big game making lots of things to start looking to make things consistent. All designers want to do that. I want to make it the same, right? Will we have a hero at one point that's got 6 activated abilities? I hope so. Right? Maybe 8. I don't know. Right? There will come a limit beyond which human endurance is not practical, and then we have to stop.
Right.
But can we do something that's really crazy? Can we have a hero work that has none? Right, and can that be fun, right? And so we're looking for lots of ways. Can we have heroes that break the death timer, heroes that break the mount rules, heroes that break how you think about map presence? Can we have heroes that own part of the map? Can we have heroes that are teleporting everywhere on the map? Anything we can think of to keep changing the rules so that when you sit down and you come to play the game, you never know what you're going to see next. And when we launch a hero, you're going to go, okay, what is it, right? Like, I don't know what, but it all has to work, of course. Like,
right.
But we have to do this thing. You have to go, and it works. I can't believe it works, right? And that's a goal for us. That's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome. That's just a lovely way to go about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of courage to be able to do that, because we were starting on this game. A lot of people told us you can't do that. You can't do team levels. It's not allowed. I've played these games. They don't do that. That's not where the genre's going, right? You can't do multiple maps, and you can't do these battlegrounds with all these objectives. You can't. It is known, right? And like, okay, I hear you. I'm a little scared now because you told me I couldn't, but what if we tried, right? And the results for us have been very exciting. It's allowed us to create something that feels pretty fresh, feels pretty new.
It's awesome. It's wonderful. Glad to see where it's going.
Thank
you
man.
so much, Dustin.
Appreciate it, sir.